Hello everyone, welcome to this session. I hope I am audible. If somebody can please tell in the chat box. Hi. So yes, this is going to be an introductory class for the NCERT students, and I'm going to take up the topic of international relations or India's foreign policy. Now, when I talk about your UPSC exam, UPSC Civil Service exam, right? GS paper 2 for your mains. India's foreign policy. India's foreign policy is a very, very important component, right? Even in your interview, when you appear for your interview, you are asked questions on India's foreign policy. Similarly, if somebody is aiming for political science and international relations, so India's foreign policy is a very important component. So this topic itself is very important, and it is one such topic which is very, very dynamic. The foreign policy of a given country continues to change with every day's happenings. Let's take one example. Now, if there is a war between Russia and Ukraine, India has to decide that whom to support and whom not to support, and to what an extent we have to support someone, right? We cannot outrightly say that Russia is 100% right, because if Russia is constantly attacking Ukraine and the innocent people are dying and there are economic crises, then we just cannot say as a civilized nation that Russia is 200% right or even 100% right. We will have to take a decision where we will say that Russia is doing something wrong. But now at the same time, when the international community will sit in the United Nations, and there at the behest of America, they will ask the global community, the leadership will ask India to vote that Russia is wrong, then as an independent country, India has to exercise its choice that no, I'm not going to say that Russia is wrong, because Russia has been a very good friend to me. But I will also speak out few words like, we want that there should be peace. We want that there should be respect for human rights. We want the negotiations. We want the nations to resolve their disputes through negotiations rather than through war, right? So we will have to be very, very diplomatic. So what is foreign policy of any country? How the international relations are perceived? Now let's try understand through a very basic example, and then I will tell you that how we have to read the topic through through NCERTs. So see, now there is a group of countries, right? There are many countries. So there is a group of countries which is operating in the international affairs, right? Now, all these countries have their own national interest. We all have national interest. Now, the national interest of one country may be in sync with the national interest of another country. Let's take one example. The national interest of America is that the global trade should be free, liberalism should prevail. Similarly, the national interest of India is that there should be freedom of trade, right? So we too have a common agenda. But at a given point of time, there can be a conflict in this national interest. India's national interest is that there should be peace, whereas Pakistan's national interest is to destabilize India through proxy war, through militancy, or whatever. Because there is always a chance of conflict in global affairs, right? Between the national interest of two countries. This conflict, if not resolved or if not amicably resolved, can lead to war. Now, when I talk about national interest of any country, it is not just that we should win a war. It is also there that we should avoid a war. Why? Because if there will be war, in this war, not only the enemy will die, my own army officers, my soldiers will die. They are people of India. They are people of America. How can any country let its men die? Right? So we would like to avoid the war. We don't want our men to die. Two, if there will be war, the entire economy will suffer because there will be so much of extra burden on the economy, right? So economy will decline, people will die. Why should we fight a war? So to avoid a war, we need diplomacy. And for this diplomacy, we then have diplomats. And the role of the diplomats is to negotiate, so that we can avoid war. Now, that is the entire idea behind international relations and foreign policy. If it is clear, let me know in the chat box if you are able to understand what I tried to explain in these 3-4 minutes. Is it clear, friends? I will be waiting for somebody's response. Unless there is a response, it will be very difficult for me to. This is clear. Great. Now, having said this and explained this, when we study the subject of international relations from the point of view of GS, General Studies, there are 3 broad lenses or ideological framework or theoretical frameworks through which we try to understand international relations. One is called idealism. Second is realism. And third is pragmatism. Pragmatism. Right? These are 3 broad lenses or theoretical frameworks or ideologies through which we try to understand international relations. Fine. Now, what is idealism? Idealism says that it is possible to end the scourge of war. It is possible to end the scourge of war. It is possible to end the scourge of war means, अगर मैं इसको हिंदी में बोलूं, युद्ध खत्म किया जा सकता है. It is possible that humanity will always live in peace. And they say that human nature by default is peace loving. Now they say that we are very peace loving people. There are very few people who are aggressive. Otherwise, we all live happily together in a society, in a community. Let's take an example. Things start from family. We live happily with each other. Then the neighborhood, the society, then the community, then the country. And then, yes, we can live happily ever after. Thereafter, in the global scenario as well, there will be no fight. All people will always be loving each other, caring for each other. Philanthropy will prevail and there will be no war. We have to just start making efforts towards this, right? So they are saying something which is very, very good to hear too. But is it possible? This is so idealistic kind of a thinking that we will love each other, right? Now imagine a situation, 2 real brothers fighting for property, right? So the human nature by default is also quarrelsome. We are envious as well. We are selfish as well, right? So all these attributes are there in human nature. 2 real brothers can fight for their ancestral property, right? I shall get the bigger share or something like that. Even brothers and sisters can fight. Husband and wife can fight. There are divorce cases. when there is conflict within a family, then we see that for a small issue like parking or a car in front of anybody else's house in the neighborhood can lead to gruesome fight. Then there are so many other conflicts in the society, conflicts in the name of religion, conflict in the name of language, conflict in the name of caste, religion, whatever you call it, right? So how can there be global peace? How is it possible? So what they say, the war cannot be ended. You cannot say that war can end. War can't end. What is possible? War cannot end. That we have to keep in mind. Now, what is possible? War can be avoided. War can be avoided. What I mean avoided? That means it can be delayed by negotiations. After Kargil in 1998, India and Pakistan have not fought any open war. We have been negotiating. After 1962, India and China have not fought a war. We are negotiating. There is a situation, anytime there can be a war, right? So war is always a possibility. Can you think that there will ever be a time that India and Pakistan will never think of fighting each other, doing harm to each other, or India or China? But yes, we can avoid it. We are delaying it. Now that is realism, that if war cannot be ended, at least it can be avoided. It can be delayed through negotiations. So these negotiations will aim at peace, right? And these negotiations are done by diplomats. And this is exactly what diplomacy is all about. Fine. Now we have pragmatism. Pragmatism says that when we know that war cannot end, it means that one day, the day is not known, there will be a war. For what? Obviously, for the national interest of a particular country. Like India now wants that Pakistan should stop doing all these terrorist activities, sending fake currency or sending drugs or whatever they are doing. So we would one day decide, perhaps, right? Or maybe Pakistan becomes overconfident and they decide, let's go attack on India and try capture entire Kashmir from India. Half of the Kashmir is with them illegally occupied. They may try to capture the entire territory of Kashmir. They may go for that kind of a misadventure, and then obviously, yes, they will be taught a lesson that we have already taught them twice, thrice, four times, 1948, then 65, 71, and then Kargil, right? Now, pragmatism says that when we know that there in the future there is a possibility of war, so let's be always prepared for war. Now you cannot say now that we have diplomats, we are doing diplomacy, we are going for negotiations, we have restored peace. So what is the need of army? Why to spend so much on army? Army here means the army, the navy, and the air force. Then why are we buying so many new weapons? Or why are we buying tanks? Or why aircrafts or submarines? Or why we are making nuclear bombs, right? Now, I hope we all understand that even if there is a possibility that we can delay the war for next 100 years, but there is a possibility that anytime there can be a war. So pragmatism says then let's be always ready for the eventuality. So we have to understand international relations in these three perspectives. If a leader of a particular country is believing in idealism, he will give more importance to diplomacy, and for a long duration, he or she may aim for peace. If a leader is one who believes in realism, he will be one who will be taking strict action, strong steps. And the one who is pragmatic, he will be always keeping the country ready for any eventuality. And usually, most of the leaders of the world, you name any leader, they all have all three attributes in them. If I talk about our beloved Prime Minister, Mr. Modi today, so see, he went to Nawaz Sharif. After becoming Prime Minister, he went to Pakistan. He tried to diplomatically solve the problems. The diplomacy started. We try for cricket diplomacy. We try like media diplomacy, music diplomacy. There are so many things. But at the same time, there is element of realism as well. But if Pakistan is not going to change itself, then we will take strict action. The surgical strikes, right, that India carried out. And then pragmatism. We are every day evolving. We are bringing more and more strength to Indian defense. We are bringing more and more weaponry. We are developing more and more aircrafts and whatnot. So this is how we have to perceive the international relations. Is it clear to everyone? Idealism basically is that war may end one day. People will live in permanent peace thereafter. Is it clear, everyone? Any doubt so far, anybody? See, a class can never be a class if the students are not interacting. If you are sitting in a class only as a mute spectator, then it is not a class, it is a monologue. And through a monologue, you may not learn anything. You want me to once again explain the differences? Idealism says there is a possibility of permanent peace. Realism says that permanent peace is a myth. At best, the peace can be continued for like like extended time. It says permanent peace, it says extended peace, but there is always a possibility of a conflict or a war. So pragmatism says if there is always a possibility of a war, then let's be ready for it. Now is it clear? Great, thank you. So any doubt so far, anything that you want me to elaborate or tell? And I hope if there is anybody, acha, is there anybody who is sitting in the class? Is there anybody sitting in the class who says that yes, I have read NCRTs? If there is anyone who says that I have read all the NCRTs, can you please raise your hand? Those who are sitting in Zoom meeting with me here. There is no one who has read NCRTs before. All right. So what I will tell you here now is that even if we try to read NCRTs, now there is a 12th class NCRT which talk about world politics, through which we have to pick up some selective topics. Not all the topics, selective topics, right? This is political science NCRT of world politics. Then there is another book in 12th class, Indian politics since independence. That's a separate book. From this book, we have to pick up some of the selective topics and we have to then read these two topics together, right? To make it a proper narrative. Then there is 11th class book of political theory, right? Now we have to pick up this book as well and we have to read the selective topics. You just cannot say that I'm going to prepare for my international relations without keeping these three books together. And then I have to pick up selective topics of 9th and 10th class. And then I have to pick up few topics from 11th class, world history, which relate with the background to the present day international relations. Again, the selective topics. And now my list is complete. When I want to read international relations, India foreign policy through NCRTs, I have to pick up these four books together. Four means one, two, three, four, five, six. From these six books, if I read the topics together and make one comprehensive note, now that is what it means to make smart notes for your UPSC preparation, right? If you are not doing like this, then it is like anybody's work. And anybody's work will not make you successful, because for successful people, it is always the mantra that they know the idea of smart work. Is this idea clear, everyone? And this is exactly how in our NCERT classes we will be teaching you, right? This is exactly the way we will explain you the things. Then we will provide you proper lecture in the shape of this PPT, which we will share with you. And then we will be like sending you a book through which you will complete your notes. And we will also be adding from the newspaper, the current affairs, so that you happen to have at one point all the important things at the same place, so that your journey becomes more meaningful and the work becomes less boring. And at the same time, it happens to be something like ease of doing the things. So keeping this in mind, we have made that NCERT course, which I was telling you yesterday, that it is for 3,400 rupees, in which we will cover history, all parts of history, ancient history, medieval India, modern India, post independence India, and world history. Then we will be doing polity, constitution. Then we will be doing economics, geography, environment, and then we will be doing science and tech, ethics, society. Then we will do disaster management, international relations, history, polity, economy, geography, environment, science and tech, ethics, society, disaster management, international relations, internal security, right? So this is how we will be covering all the topics from NCERTs, but in a very, very holistic and integrated manner. And this integrated manner will also become interdisciplinary. Now, what I mean by interdisciplinary, as I just told you, from political science and history books, I here means any teacher, we will bring the topics together to make it more understandable, more meaningful, more fruitful, so that your understanding is diverse, your understanding is more robust. It is like the foundations have been laid in the right manner. Now, this is what our NCERT course is all about. Is it clear, friends? Now, before I start further, I would like once again to ask, is there anything in anybody's mind that you want to ask? If there is anything on your mind that you want me to explain, please tell me. Otherwise, I will continue with the same. All right. Now, let's try understand few more things. So, it was 1947, 15th of August, that India became independent. Right? India became independent. Now, when we became independent, it also means that we became a sovereign country. Now, what is this sovereignty? First of all, we need to understand this concept of sovereignty. Then we will better understand the logic behind international relations, diplomacies, and foreign policies. So, talking about this idea of sovereignty, if a given country is believed to be a country which is sovereign, so this idea of being sovereign or a sovereign nation has two dimensions. There is idea of internal sovereignty and there is idea of external sovereignty. Now, when I say there is internal sovereignty, how will I explain this idea that there is internal sovereignty? So the idea is simple. When I say there is internal sovereignty, Vishal, I will tell you the details. Vishal is a student on YouTube. I will tell you the details. Let's for a while concentrate on this session. Then I will tell you, right? So when I say there is internal sovereignty, what I have to say? There is no equal to the sovereign. There is no equal to the sovereign. Now, what is this sovereignty beyond this idea of internal and external? There is another way to understand this. There is political sovereignty, there is legal sovereignty, there is popular sovereignty. Political sovereignty, legal sovereignty, and popular sovereignty. Now, what is legal sovereignty? Legal sovereignty is a rule book, constitution. Now, this constitution decides in India that there shall be a parliament. This constitution tells us that within this parliament there will be Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. This constitution tells us that there will be an election commission which will hold elections, which will conduct supervised elections for both the houses of parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and also for the state assemblies, and along with this for the president and vice president of India. Right? Now, there is a constitution written which guarantees everything, which defines the powers, the roles, the responsibilities of all the officers, of all the politicians. Everything is written in this constitution. There is nothing above this. This is called law of the land. It is the legal sovereign in India. The constitution of India makes it the legal sovereign, right? Now, the constitution says that there will be a parliament, right? In this parliament, the new laws are made, and along with making the laws, the parliament can amend the constitution as well, but it cannot change the basic structure of constitution. Otherwise, this parliament has the power to amend the constitution and to make new laws. That means the political sovereignty in India is with the parliament. But who elects the parliament? Who chooses the members of Lok Sabha, the more powerful house? It is the popular sovereign. It is the people of India. Every 5 years, we decide that who will sit in parliament, which party will get majority of the seats, which party will become the ruling party and form the government of India, and then which party will have the right to make laws for us for next 5 years. So popular sovereignty belongs to the people, political sovereignty belongs to the parliament, legal sovereignty is there in the constitution. Now imagine a thing. The people of India are very important. The constitution itself says we the people. When we vote not for a single member. I'm not going to vote for Mr. A, B, or C. I'm voting for a party which will form the government at the national level. I can vote for BJP, I can vote for Congress, I can vote for the coalition NDA, National Democratic Alliance of BJP, or UPA, the United Progressive Alliance of the Congress. For last 10 years, we have been giving our votes, our faith to the BJP-led UPA. They are in power. Now, the party to which we give our vote, the people of India, by giving vote, we show our trust in that party. And that party has one leader, one face. As in the case of BJP, it is our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi. Now, we all know that if BJP will come to power, Mr. Modi will be the Prime Minister. Now, when we know that the political sovereignty that belongs to Parliament, what is Parliament? Parliament has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Out of these two, Lok Sabha is directly elected by the people, and that is why it is more powerful. Rajya Sabha is indirectly elected and it has little less powers. Now, in Lok Sabha, the party which gets the majority of the seats, how they get majority of the seats? Party which gets majority of seats, the party which gets more votes. Now, this party becomes the ruling party. When it becomes the ruling party, its leader, the leader of the ruling party, he becomes the Prime Minister, and thus he becomes the face of India. And for a while, as long as he is the Prime Minister, he is the one who holds this sovereignty. He takes all the important decisions. There is no equal to him. Now let's understand this. In 2016, November 8, right, the Prime Minister of India said that the 500 and 1000 currency notes are demonetized. Now, can any chief minister of any state can go against this and say, okay, in my state, these currency notes will continue to be legal tender? Will it be possible? How will it be possible? There is no equal to him. If in 2020, because of that COVID outbreak, if the Prime Minister said there is going to be a lockdown, can any Chief Minister, any governor, anyone say, not in my state, not in my district? He is the one who will take the final decision on behalf of India, and nobody can go against his decision. It is final. Is it clear that what we mean by internal sovereignty and why Prime Minister is so important? Now, I am not just teaching you international relations. I am building you an international relations with the basic understanding of Indian political system as well. That means polity. Now, this is how a teacher should teach. It should not be, a kind of separate islands of knowledge. There is a need to have that integrity, right? Is it clear, everyone, online? Any doubt, anyone? यार ये जो लोग हैं जैसे खुशी है और ये पीएल हैं, प्रताप मलिक हैं और संदीप कुमार हैं, देन वी हैव असमत, अर्जुन, आदित्य। यार तुम लोग क्लास में आए हो तो इंटरेक्ट भी करो यार. व्हाई आर यू नॉट इंटरेक्टिंग? यू कैन type, you can raise your hand to ask your doubts. What's the fun of sitting so like idly in a class? See, this is a demo lecture. I cannot force anyone. But if you are my regular students who have paid me fees and you are sitting like this in the class, I will end the class. I will not teach. Unless you interact with a teacher, class is of no value. Asmat, if this is your first class, all right. So I was telling you guys that there is internal sovereignty, and this internal sovereignty, it says that there is no equal to the sovereign, and this sovereignty for the while remains with the Prime Minister, because in India, Prime Minister is the leader of the majority party, and the majority party is the one which basically has got the trust of the people of India through their votes, right? Now, internally, there is no equal. So there is one person, the Prime Minister, along with his Council of Ministers, who commands, right? He commands. And even the President of India is elected through the Parliament. The members of Lok Sabha, the members of Rajya Sabha, elected members of Lok Sabha, elected members of Rajya Sabha, and the elected MLAs, they together make an electoral college that elects the President of India. So President of India, otherwise we think that he is the highest position, and it is constitutionally President of India is the highest position, but the actual powers in India are with the Prime Minister, because we are not a presidential system. India is a parliamentary democracy, and in Parliament, Lok Sabha is more powerful. In Lok Sabha, the ruling party is more powerful, and within the ruling party, the Prime Minister is most powerful. So that is the way that in India, Prime Minister becomes the face of India, and President is a ceremonial head. Now, internally, so there is no equal. Even Prime Minister decisions cannot, to a very large extent, be say no to by the President. Even President has to agree to what Prime Minister says most of the times. Now, when I talk about external sovereignty, now there is India as one country. There is Pakistan, another country. There is USA, there is Russia, there is China. We have big countries like them. And then there are smaller countries like Nepal and then there is Bhutan, and there are so many other countries, Sri Lanka, and so on and so forth, right? Now, every country is sovereign in its own right. Every country is sovereign. India is a sovereign country, so is Pakistan, USA, Russia, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and you think about any country, right? Now, because every country is sovereign, now the problem is uh, you have to write something like this for external sovereignty. The definition is no equal can force the other to do or not to do anything. So if it is the Prime Minister of India and there is a Prime Minister of Pakistan, he is the sovereign in India, he is the sovereign in Pakistan. They are equal. A sovereign is equal to sovereign, right? But can the Prime Minister of India force the Pakistan's Prime Minister to do something? Or can the Prime Minister of Pakistan force the Prime Minister of India to do something unless we do not want it? So no equal can force the other to do or not to do something or anything. That means, now let's try understand the difference in a better manner. We are talking about the idea of sovereignty. There are two ways to understand sovereignty: internal sovereignty and external sovereignty. In internal sovereignty, there is no equal to the sovereign. So there is only one person or one authority who holds this sovereignty. In case of India, it is Prime Minister. If he decides that 500 and 1000 currency notes are going to be demonetized, nobody can say no. There is no equal. His decision will prevail. If he says because of COVID outbreak, there is going to be a lockdown, so there will be a lockdown. No chief minister, no governor, no MP, nobody can say no to what the Prime Minister says. This is internal sovereignty. External sovereignty. No equal can force the other to do or not to do anything. Now, let's take one example. We all know that USA is a very powerful country. It is called the superpower. Fine. Now, USA has problems with Iran. USA has problems with Russia. Fine. Now here is India. India needs help from USA, but India needs help from Russia as well. India needs petrol from Iran as well. Now USA says that if you will take oil from Russia or from Iran, then USA will put some sanctions on India, right? And USA is trying to force India not to trade with Russia and Iran. Because India is a sovereign country, so is Russia, so is USA, and so is Iran. Now, Iran tells India that if you trade with us in oil, if you take oil from us, then we will give you heavy discounts. You will get the oil at very discounted price. So do Russia says that we will also give you heavy discounts on oil. Now, India understands that economically we need the oil at discounted price so that our foreign reserves are robust. We are not losing money in buying expensive crude oil. So even if USA says no, that India must not trade with Iran or Russia, India as a sovereign country decides we will buy oil from Russia and Iran as well. To hell with USA, we don't care. Fine. Now this is sovereignty. We decide, nobody can force us. After buying the oil, when we have adequate oil with us, we have adequate oil that for next 50 years we need we have no tensions now. Now we can say, okay, we can talk and negotiate with USA. If now we stop trading with them, will you give us some better technology so that we can make more development? Now this is the negotiation. This is diplomacy. As a sovereign country, you have your choice. If today USA says no and India says, okay, we will not trade, then what is the idea of India being sovereign, India being independent? Like earlier, it was the British who ruled over us, they decided. And now if today it is USA who will decide, then how can we claim that we are independent country, we are a sovereign country? So what happens now? When we again understand this, so when we talk about sovereignty, internally there is one person or one face, right? And there is no equal. Now, when I say no equal, let's put international relations and polity together again. I will give you a beautiful example to understand. Now, the face is prime minister, right? There is no equal. Now, the prime minister says that we are going for lockdown, right? There is Constitution of India. According to this Constitution, prime minister is the face in this parliamentary democracy. Now, prime minister says lockdown. Let's say any state, it can be Punjab, it can be Haryana, it can be Himachal, it can be Bengal, it can be any state. So it can be XYZ, any state. Now, the chief minister of this state says, unfortunately, accidentally, though it is not possible, hypothetically speaking, a chief minister says no to this lockdown. The prime minister will say, how will you not do this? Right? The prime minister has the powers through parliament, because he has the support of the majority of parliament. He can then ask the president, the prime minister through parliament can ask the president to remove the chief minister, remove him. And the prime minister is the head of the country politically. Constitutionally, it is the president, but parliament has given most of the powers to prime minister. The president is to act according to the advice of the council of ministers headed by prime minister. So president cannot take any decision himself. He has to work according to the advice of the prime minister. Now, when we say that he acts according to the advice of the prime minister, now the prime minister will send an advice to the president that in this particular state where the chief minister was not agreeing, the police is not able to perform its duties. Please send Central Armed Police Force like CRPF. Send them to maintain law and order in the state to ensure that there is proper lockdown. If the situation becomes more tense, army can be sent immediately to restore law and order, right? So there is always the power which is with the prime minister, that no person can be equal to him. But in the external relations, the equals cannot force each other. Now let's take an example. USA asked Russia not to attack Ukraine, but Russia said, I will. Now, what maximum USA can do? USA can join the war. It will lead to further chaos, but it will not bring any law and order. There cannot be peace unless Russia itself decides. So, because in the external affairs, in the global affairs, there is no sovereign power. Everyone is sovereign, but there is no superior power. UNO is not a sovereign power, right? UNO asked Russia not to do, but Russia continued. UNO asked Israel to not to bomb the city of Gaza, but Israel continues. So UNO is not a sovereign power. It is a voluntary association. It is not a sovereign power, because in the external world, in the global affairs, there is no recognized sovereignty. Therefore, there is anarchy. Anarchy means chaos. There is no law and order. Where there is no law and order, what we say, there is jungle rule or jungle law, right? The law of jungle. What is the law of jungle? It is might is right. जो ताकतवर है वो सही है, might is right. So in the global affairs there is always conflict. Everyone wants their interest to be served better than the others. Now this is the global scenario in which we have to understand international relations and India foreign policy. Please tell me, how did you understand, like how did you find this explanation which I have given in last 50 minutes, and how much uh, effectively you could understand the things, and how much could you enjoy the session? And PL, I suppose I explained it thrice after you asked for it. So is there anyone giving feedback? So guys, I will stop this session today because many students wanted to have one demo with me. I have given that demo. From tomorrow, I will start this regular class at 5 p.m. Now, if you want to enroll in this course, just allow me a minute. All right. So my team is going to share the payment link, and those who want to join it in 3400 can join now. I will start the class tomorrow at 5 p.m. and every teacher will teach a particular subject in a same manner, in the same way, so that you guys are confident enough to understand the nitty-gritties and to be able to write proper answers in the exam, right? So this is how we teach in our academy. Is there anyone who want to ask anything about this course? The duration of the course is going to be 75 days in which we will cover all these subjects. Please feel free to ask anything that you have on your mind, guys. Yes, recorded lectures will be there if in case you miss a session, so you will get a recorded lecture as well. Right? My team is going to share the payment link here in the chat box itself. And they have also shared the payment link in your WhatsApp groups. So those who are interested, they can join it through the WhatsApp group. And the link has been now, it is about to get posted in the chat box as well. Otherwise, in the WhatsApp group, it has been already shared. Yes. Here it is. Here is the link for you. So those who are interested can join the course. From tomorrow, we'll start with the international relations. And I hope now you understand that even if you come in the class without reading the books, we will be in a better position to help you because you will read only one book. We will combine at least 7, 8 books to make you understand the concept in every dimension, and that will help you understand it in a better manner. Because can you raise your hand? I will give you mic, and that way it will be easier for me to explain you. I'm giving you mic. You please unmute yourself because then I will explain you how you can ask your doubts. Yes, because can you please unmute yourself? Because I suppose you have unmuted yourself. Can you please say something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. You are from?
I'm from Manipur, sir.
You are from?
Manipur.
Manipur. Because two things. One, if you have a doubt, while I was speaking in last 1 hour, was there anything that is left without you asking for it?
Sir, if I have a doubt while I'm
Or that's what I'm saying. While you were attending this class now live, is there anything left to a chance that you may have a doubt and I have not answered it without you asking for it? This is one thing I'm asking. Otherwise,
sorry, sir. This
see, there are two things. One, the teachers are so very well experienced that they will not leave anything that there can be a doubt. Two, even if there is a doubt, what will be the scene there? Then you will have the WhatsApp number of every teacher. You will send them your doubt. They will send you a voice message.
oh, I got the
Right?
I got the point, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, then those who
Thank you,
want
sir.
to join can now join the course. Here is the link. And those who think that it is not worth or it is not useful,